Dusty Dvoracek, who joined us now here on Get Up. Let's get back to that first game we were just talking about, gentlemen. Let's go to Dublin, the game we were just talking about, Bill Belichick and UNC. Dusty, how much trouble are they in this season?
They're in big trouble. I just want to say this. Yay! We made it. At least we get to talk about some football, Joe, because I am tired of the conversation you guys were having. But Bill Belichick's in big trouble. Look, this has been an unmitigated disaster. This was sold as the 33rd NFL team, and they won 2 games in the ACC a season ago. I think the roster is slightly better, but the schedule is much tougher this year for Bill Belichick. I don't see 3 wins in conference play on the schedule. I don't see a bowl appearance this year for North Carolina. You go back to when Mac Brown was there, the second iteration of Mac Brown. He never won less than 6. He made a bowl game every year. And by the way, he was doing it with less resources. Bill Belichick came in with the 6 Super Bowl championships and all the resources at his disposal. And all it's been is failure after failure. Last year was an embarrassment against TCU, 48-14. I'm intrigued to see what it looks like this year in Dublin against that same TCU team.
Great reference on the under 3 conference wins, because DraftKings actually has that posted over under 2.5 wins in conference. You say the under. Paul, jump in here as well. How much trouble is Belichick and UNC in this year? Is there reason for optimism?
No. One day, a couple of years from now, on the final Jeopardy question on ESPN Jeopardy, Schefter is going to win it by answering the question, who is the worst coach in college football, who was also the best coach in NFL history? The answer, of course, is Bill Belichick, because that's where he is trending right now, Joe. He's not there yet, but he's very close. And everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. He lost Lombardi, who really wasn't that great anyway as a college GM. His son is missing in action. The fact that we are talking about Bobby Petrino, yeah, the guy that was on the motorcycle 15 years ago at Arkansas that lost his job, as possibly the savior for this program, just shows you how upside down college football is, especially in Chapel Hill.
We're going to go under the 46.5 as well. Pretty straightforward. This game opened TCU minus 6.5. We're through the key number of 7 all the way up to 9.5. Shows you what the market thinks of UNC. You've got some rain concerns in Dublin, so keep that in mind. 2 teams that want to run the ball, and an offense from UNC that's probably going to struggle here. So we like the favorite. We like the under. Let's go to USC. Dusty, is this the best team Lincoln Riley has had since joining the Trojans?
I think it is. Look, you go back to his first year at USC, he had Superman Caleb Williams. They went 11-1, but it was really all about Caleb Williams. This team in totality, I do think is his best, Joe. The line of scrimmage, it's a veteran offensive line. They've got an outstanding quarterback in Jaden Mayava. Look, we know with Lincoln Riley, he's going to have a good offense. The difference this year, he's got Gary Patterson. That's right, Gary Patterson from TCU, the Hall of Fame head coach, is the defensive coordinator in LA. They had a great recruiting class, a lot of length and size up front on that defensive line. And I think USC's been missing some toughness. Gary Patterson will bring toughness. Here's the issue, though, Joe. They got to make a playoff for Lincoln Riley. And when you look at that schedule, 5 ranked opponents, 3 inside the top 6 going into the season, I don't see a 10-win season for Lincoln Riley in year 5.
Paul, let's talk about those playoffs. When Lincoln Riley arrived in Los Angeles, there was a lot of fanfare. He's had several years to get something going. We're not even talking about winning a national championship. We're just talking about making a 12-team playoff. If they miss the playoff again this season, how big a disaster is that?
Pretty big. Don't forget, and Dusty can attest to this, Lincoln Riley fled Oklahoma because he was afraid of the SEC, and he went to a league now that might even be tougher to deal with, especially West Coast to East Coast, than even the SEC. It's a disaster, but I'm not sure they can fire him because he's got a better agent than most people, and it would cost about $70 or $80 million, and they just don't want to deal with that right now.
A lot of points in this opening matchup. Total 60.5. Bet the over. Last 4 years, USC, as much as they might struggle with travel in the Big Ten, in these G5 openers, they're averaging 61 points per game. San Jose State plays fast. They're going to throw the ball as well. Let's move to Mike Norvell in Florida State. Paul, is this the hottest seat heading into the season?
Even hotter than Belichick. I mean, remember 3 years ago we were crying and arguing and fighting and screaming about FSU deserving to be in the CFP. They have been out the last 2 years. Remember, they beat Alabama last year in the opener and just went straight downhill. Mike Norvell, it would be, I don't know what the over and under is. It will be a wild battle on betting lines, Joe. It's who gets fired first, Norvell or Belichick. I think it will be Norvell.
Dusty, final word, jump in here.
Yeah, Mike Norvell's had losing seasons in 4 of his 6. He's got to have a much better season. Second game against SMU at home is essential. Then they go to Tuscaloosa. You start 1-2, that's trouble in Tallahassee.
Gentlemen, tremendous work. Thank you for your time. More from them later in the show. The bet would be to lay the number with Florida State. You got to put it on the opening opponent because SMU and Alabama, as Dusty said, are on deck. UNC, how much trouble are they in this season?
Feels like a lot, Joe. And, last year was an unmitigated disaster, going 4-8, winning just 2 games in conference play. How much better is the roster? We'll see. They've got Billy Edwards Jr. at quarterback. I am intrigued with Bobby Petrino coming in. Say what you want to about Bobby P, but the man can call up some offense. So that intrigues me. Bill Belichick will be taking over this defense while his son is out on health leave. So there's a lot up in the air. Obviously, the general manager and Michael Lombardi is away from the football team, under investigation. It's been situation after situation after situation. The real question is, can they win? I don't think they can beat this TCU team. And to be quite honest with you, Joe, I really question, can this team get to a bowl game? When you look at the ACC schedule that they have, it's going to be really tough, tougher schedule than a year ago. They've also got Notre Dame on that schedule. It feels like year 2 is going to be very similar to year 1 for Bill Belichick. And when they brought him in, they threw a lot of money his way, gave him a ton of resources. The expectation was he was going to elevate the program. The reality is, since Mac Brown left, who never won less than 6 games, by the way, the program has dipped. So big year number 2. And last year was 48-14 against TCU. We get a chance to see Saturday. Is there improvement in Chapel Hill? I can tell you, Tar Heel fans, they sure hope so.
The optimist looks at that schedule and says, hey, you get a bye week before Notre Dame. That's a good thing. And then the realist looks at it and says, it's just another week to get ready to get blown out by one of the best teams in the country. You cover a lot of ACC football. Should we have, I'm not even going to say high expectations. Should we have reasonable expectations for UNC?
No, but I do want to see how this football team looks from an offensive standpoint. They were abysmal a season ago. They were last in the ACC, and Bobby Petrino is a guy that I played for at the University of Louisville. So one of the things he can do is dial up offenses and call plays. Let's not forget, he had Lamar Jackson. He had a lot of guys back from 2003 to 2009 that played at the professional level from an offensive standpoint because he's that damn good. I would even go back to Arkansas last season, and it didn't show up in the win total, but Taylor Green looked different with Bobby Petrino calling plays for that Arkansas football team. That's what I'm more interested in seeing. Defensively, they were, top 5 defense in the ACC a year ago. I want to see how that offense looks for 2026 under Bobby Petrino.
Can everyone pump the brakes? I'm trying to dunk on Coach Belichick. We're talking about one of the greatest football coaches of all time, and everybody that talks about Bobby Petrino raves about him as an offensive mind. We don't think those 2 guys are going to make it a little bit better? And the distractions, for the most part this offseason, have been gone in comparison to last year at North Carolina. I know the Lombardi situation got some noise for like 48 hours, but that distraction's removed. The conversation of the girlfriend and the distraction of last year, at least the noise that it brought, that's been gone this offseason. And if we watched North Carolina for the most part last year, a lot of their major flaws were fundamental things. Tackling, effort to the football, blocking through the whistle, like basic stuff. The greatest coach of all time, that was partly in part because of those things, I think he's going to fix a lot of that stuff. I'm not telling everybody that this team's going to go to the college football playoff.
Just more competent? I
think we're going to get a significantly improved, just fundamentally sound, basic football team from North Carolina this year.
Dusty, jump in here.
I will add this, though. Will it show up in the win total? Because of who are some of the guys that they have on their schedule.
Sure. Dusty, go ahead.
I agree with you, Harry. And Dan, I'm with you. Why wasn't that there last year? If you're that good of a coach, Bill Belichick is the greatest NFL coach of all time, but he had never coached in college. There's a difference, I think you would agree, coaching college players and coaching NFL players. And the reality was, why were those things, those fundamentals that you talked about, Why were they an issue? He was the coach last year. He had a spring. I know there was a lot of newness, but there was a lot of question marks about this team. And when I look at the roster of North Carolina and I compare them even to ACC rosters, I'm left scratching my head and I'm trying to count up wins. He's paid $10 million a year, Dan, to win games. Again, Mac Brown went to a bowl game every year since 2019 when he came back to North Carolina. And I look at this, if you can come up with 6 wins in this schedule, I'll tip my cap to you. But as we sit here preseason and we're looking at the schedules and we're looking at the rosters, I can assure you, Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, when they showed up last year and left at halftime, they didn't expect Bill Belichick to miss a bowl game in each of his first 2 years.
Yeah, your guys' points are totally fair and valid. I think the difference this year in comparison to last year in relation to the why didn't it happen was there was so much of a flurry of excitement and, again, noise and distraction that feels like it's been mitigated this offseason. And the roster, Coach Belichick made his name getting the most out of the, I don't want to say the least, but the lesser in comparison to other. Yeah, and I just think that's who he is. I'm not telling everybody that they are going to win the ACC. I just think we see a significant improvement. Will it lead to 4, 5, 6 more wins? We'll find out.
Market disagrees a little bit. TCU opened 6.5. That's up to 9.5. Might look to the favorite. Might look to the under. Some rain in the forecast in Old Dublin.
Try to knock me off my feet, still standing with more money than I came with. Hot damn, took a loss, but I'm still a gambling man, betting all the chips that I got left.